Welcome to the TPC Desktop video series. In this video, you'll learn how to import Cad drawing into a Traverse PC survey. Let's start by coming to the Task Manager on the right-hand side and opening the Drawing Learning Guide. When I do, Traverse PC displays the Drawing Learning Guide for me. I want the very last chapter down here called Importing Cad Drawings. Let's come down and click on that. We're going to be taking an existing survey and importing a Cad drawing based on the same coordinate system into that existing survey. And Traverse PC is going to give you the steps for that right here. Let me page down though. I want to just highlight two things for you. The first, right here in the middle of the page, is that we're really talking about importing any Cad file. It can be a DXF, a DXB, a binary DXF, a DWG file from AutoCAD, or a DGN file from Bentley. Traverse PC doesn't really care what the file format is or what version it is. It'll bring it in and recreate those entities as drawing objects for you. The second is that we're going to be able to start with an existing file that Traverse PC gives us. So let's go ahead and open this Learn Import Cad file. We're going to come back to Traverse PC and from the Task Manager choose Sample Surveys. Traverse PC displays the sample surveys and we're going to find Learn Import Cad and double click it. So we're going to do two things in this video. One is we're going to import a Cad file into an existing Traverse PC drawing. The second is we're going to import a Cad file into a blank drawing, so all we have is the information that was in that Cad file. Let's start here by importing a Cad file into an existing drawing. I want to open up the Traverse Manager and show you that we have a single traverse called Property Boundary with 17 points in it. So we've established the boundary of the project in the coordinates or in the grid that everyone's agreed upon. This project happens to be along a U.S. highway, so we're working with a Department of Transportation. We're passing the survey information off to an engineering firm and a design firm. And so the surveying, the Department of Transportation, the engineering and design, all are going to work on the same grid. What that means is that when we import this Cad file, it should come in overlaid right over the top of our boundary, and that's really what we expect to see in this particular case. So let's go ahead and import a file. In the drawing view, we choose Tools, and then come down to Import Data into Drawing. If I pull down the type list, you'll see there are a number of file formats that Traverse PC supports, all the Cad formats, and even the shape files here. In this particular example, we have an ASCII DXF file we want to import. If I want to change the way the file comes in, I can choose the settings, and in the top of this dialog box there are a number of options. Let's choose OK. Now let's browse to our file. We're going to choose Learn 13A DXF and hit the Import button. Traverse PC tells us it's reading the file, then it closes the file and tells us it's finished. Notice that it's already drawn Cad objects in the drawing for us. So let's go ahead and close out this dialog box. Notice how the Cad information that we imported fits with our survey boundary. Again, remember, we're all on the same grid here. Even the highway on the east side of the property, we're matching up exactly with the grid that everyone's agreed on. So let's go ahead and zoom in on just a section of this so we can kind of see what we've actually got in here. And you're going to see that pretty much everything comes in from a Cad file. If there's a raster image as a background photo, it comes in. Hatching, drafted lines, block references, all of those come into the Traverse PC drawing just like they were in the Cad drawing. One of the things I like to do is just familiarize myself with what they've done as far as layers in the Cad drawing, because I'm going to use some of those layers for my construction staking. So let's come up to Tools and click on Layers. The first thing I like to do when I've imported a Cad file is turn on the display count. And do you see here that quite a number of the layers don't have anything on them? This is very typical of importing a Cad file because in Cad they've used a template that has predefined layers, many of which they will never ever use. So one of the first things I like to do is select all and choose Delete. Traverse PC has gone in and deleted all the layers that were empty, but it tells me one or more layers were not deleted, probably because they had data on them. So when we choose OK, we can now see that we've got fewer layers, all with information on them. Let's close out that dialog box, and I'm going to put the cursor over this curb layer item right here. Right click, go to Layer Tools, Modify Layer, and finally Isolate. Because I want to see just the curb layer from the drawing that I imported. Let's put the cursor over one of these curb lines, and I can see that I have a polyline. What I'd like to do is change or convert from this polyline, which is just a drawing object, into something that has survey coordinates and radiuses for the returns in it that I can use to send out to my data collector or generate reference points or offsets for construction staking. I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's right-click that polyline and tell Traverse PC we want to convert it to a survey. I'm going to call this Curve 1. Let's come in and choose some formats here. I want to choose Deed with Curves so we have those returns in there. Let's choose an option for how we want to draw that when we create a traverse for it. And I'm going to choose Property Lines because I want you to see how Traverse PC annotates those lines for us. And finally, I'm going to come in to the description and type Curve. Let's go ahead and append that traverse to our survey. And when we come back to our Traverse Manager now, we have a Curve 1 traverse. What I like about creating a traverse out of that polyline is that oftentimes in CAD one line doesn't quite start where the previous line ended. Traverse PC is able to reconcile those kinds of things for me as it converts the drawing object into actual survey points. So it does some of what we'd have to do manually or take a guess at or even miss entirely for me automatically. And I see that I've got 3-foot radius returns. I've got some arc lengths here. Basically now I'm ready to stake this curve out or create the reference points for it. It's kind of a neat way of getting me set up to actually be doing the surveying with this. I want to show you a button here that is really handy as we work with traverses. It's right here. I'm going to put the cursor over it just for a moment until the tooltip pops up. And this button says draw just this traverse. So let's click that. Do you see how in the drawing view now I see just that traverse that I just created? The neat thing is that it shows me the survey points it created. I see those 3-foot radius returns. I have it all annotated. So I get to verify that, yeah, this is the curve that I just converted into survey data. So let's go ahead and turn that off. It returns to the regular drawing. We'll close our traverse view. We'll come back to any one of these objects, right-click, again go to Layer Tools, Modify Layer, and let's hit the Restore button to turn everything else back on. So in this example, we looked at bringing data into an existing drawing, and Traverse PC has done just that for us. Now let's take a look at opening up a CAD drawing in a new Traverse PC drawing just to see what's in it and use that drawing all by itself. We're going to do that by coming over to the Drawings Manager. The first thing I need to do is to create a new drawing, so I double-click a blank line and call it Import Cad File. Let's go to the Browse and tell Traverse PC I want to use an empty template. So I don't want any other information inside of this. I'm going to clear all the tags and choose OK. Traverse PC creates for me a brand new drawing with nothing in it, ready to import my CAD drawing into. The first thing I like to do is to change the size of this. So I'm going to right-click, choose Print, and then Page Setup. I'm going to go from a letter size drawing to something much larger, like a D-size drawing, and make it landscape. This gives me a much bigger area to work with because I may not be familiar with what's in the drawing. This way I'll be able to see it just a little bit better. Again, let's walk through those same steps. Tools, Import Data into Drawing. This time we're going to be bringing in an AutoCAD DWG file instead of a DXF. Again, we can choose the settings that we want. Notice in this case we're going to read attributes in case there are any on the entities in the file. Let's choose OK. I'm going to clear these details, choose Browse, and from the Surveys folder I'm going to bring up one of our test DWG files, this one called Design DWG. So let's import that. Again, Traverse PC opens the file, reads it, tells us it's done. So we're going to close this dialog box. Now, I need to do a zoom extents so that Traverse PC can actually find out where this data is. So let's come over to the Zoom Extents button and just click it here. You may have to click it once or twice. And you can see obviously it's an alignment file. I'm going to window around just part of it over here so you can see a little more clearly what's in it. We can zoom in. And you'll notice right off the bat that really everything is here. The symbols that were used, the drafted lines, the hatching, the fills, if there are any raster images in the background. And once again, I can convert any of this data to survey data. I might just want to use the drawing object itself to pull off a coordinate or a line distance or an offset. I can do all of that within Traverse PC because everything that was in that CAD file is now available to me in this new drawing that I created.